Greetings, Moonlight citizens. This is your Moonlight King coming to you with another episode of Moonlight Kingdom Podcast. And this particular episode, Moonlight Kingdom episode 39, has to do with the boys. That's right, folks. Oh, man, we're getting all in on the boys, man. We're going balls deep on this show. Keep in mind, we are not covering season 4 quite yet. The seasons we'll be covering are seasons 1 to 3. Yeah, they're all out there, folks. We're gonna let me and a good friend of mine are gonna fill you in on our thoughts on the show, thoughts on characters such as Homelander, Billy Butcher, the boys themselves, the Seven, your Black Noirs, your Queen Maves, and how it's kind of a black mirror. Like it's like the boys basically holds up a cracked mirror on superhero films, superhero comics, and whereas the comic, the boys was like holding up a cracked mirror to superhero comic, this is kind of like, a crack mirror of superhero films, kind of like Watchmen in a way. So, yeah, let's get into this episode of Moonlight Kingdom Podcast, episode 39.
Money and greed. And then it wouldn't be about saving people anymore. It would be about how famous I am, or how much money I'm making, or how is my brand doing. Then they would,
They really delved into that, like, when Starlight showed up, because there was an episode where she saved some dude in, like, a random alleyway in the middle of the night, and she got chastised for it, because, like, the person managing the person managing the Seven was like, hey, what the heck are you doing? Why didn't you call us? We could have gotten, like, a camera crew or something going on. Like, what are you saving people behind the scenes for? It's like, plus you get the idea that the Seven aren't really the kind of people who deal with this sort of thing. It's like calling the Avengers to deal with a bank robbery. Like it's kind of above their pay grade in a way.
Yeah, well, that's horrible because they're superheroes. They're supposed to.
I get that, but in all honesty, even the Avengers do that. In Spider-Man Homecoming, when Peter Parker told Iron Man about the Vulture and his people to Iron Man. He told Iron Man about the Vulture, and, Iron Man was like, there's people who handle this kind of stuff. Peter Parker was like, oh, the Avengers? And he says, no, this is above their pay grade. I'm like, that kind of bugged me even then. Like, what the hell are you talking about? You mean a dude stealing alien tech and using it for bad stuff isn't, like, something you guys should look into? Like, damn, man.
True.
Yeah. Also, that line about pay grades was total nonsense. The Avengers didn't get paid. Falcon and Winter Soldier proved anything as they damn sure weren't getting paid.
True.
It was so embarrassing. It was kind of funny, but kind of embarrassing watching Falcon trying to apply for a loan and, like, get rejected. Because, like, for the past, like, 10 years, he's technically been without a job. Yeah, that's kind of sad, though. But it's funny in a way, because it shows, like, man, Tony Stark wasn't paying these people nothing. Damn.
But, like, what I'm trying to say is, like, it's just funny. Like, after season 4 came out, it was great. I liked it. People are hyping up Homelander, hyping up, like, the Deep. Okay, I get the Deep, he's peak. I like the Deep a bit more than Homelander, but, like, Homelander, like, at the end of the day, he still is this narcissist, abuser, rapist dude. It's supposed to be satire. It's supposed to make you, like, question, maybe, like, in real life, like how the superhero who's supposed to stand for good and do good is doing bad. Maybe, the people that are supposed to be doing good in our society, they may not have our best interests at heart, really, I don't know, I think people, like, they get so hyped by Homelander, and he's a great character as a whole for that message. But he's not, like, somebody to, like, look up to, or, like, and nobody in the boys to be looked up to be honest. Maybe Starlight. I like Starlight. She's she's a vanilla character. But otherwise, the rest of them are kind of suckish. Even Hugh.
They have their moments. I mean, they are not the, well, for lack of a better term, the squeaky clean front people you'd imagine would be saving the day or fighting the good fight, you know.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to say. Is that I think that's the point of the boys. Is that there's these oh Lord, it's giving messages. There's these great characters that are not totally good, not totally bad. Some of them have good intentions, but act out those intentions in bad ways. And some of them are supposed to be, humanity's hope, humanity's symbol of justice and peace. And then they shitty people like Homelander. Like, the whole show, like, the point of it was, people were out to get Homelander because he's a shitty person and he raped somebody's wife and he did all these horrible things. Like, even the people he loved or claimed to love, he killed. Like, he's a psychopath. But, like, I suppose you can't really blame him because he wasn't, like, socialized like a normal person. He was always, his purpose was to perform. From the time he was born, that was, like, his purpose, to perform and live for others. So, I don't know. So I suppose it is his fault, but it's not his fault at the same time.
Yeah, I can see that side of the argument. Can I just put you on hold for a second? You were saying?
Hello?
You were saying?
Yeah, how's everything doing with you? Like, I always talk.
In terms of the boys, I've been enjoying I haven't seen this latest season, but as the seasons have gone on, I've kind of enjoyed the escalation because in season 1 it was a case of, okay, the mission was simply, superheroes, they have a lot of casualties in their so-called saving the world thing. It was a simple, good-natured mission of, we're going to put a stop to them because they're screwing about, innocent people are getting taken out, and we're going to put a stop to them. We are the de facto good guys in the situation. And as the situation got more and more muddy, it's like, yeah, we're going to put a stop to the superheroes, but the way we're going about it is equally as messed up as the kind of things that they're doing. But then you get a show like Gen V, and it's like, there's good and bad on both sides. There is clearly good and bad on both sides. Sometimes the guys that are so-called good, the so-called good people are way worse than the people that are being led to be perceived as bad. And yeah, with Gen V, damn, man, that spin-off, that was, if The Boys,
But, like,
yeah, if The Boys is like a satirical look at, hey, what would superheroes look like in the real world, then Gen V was a satirical look at what would X-Men look like in the real world, with the X-Mansion and all that shit. So, yeah. No, not X-Mansion. It's what would Sky High look like if it was in the real world.
True, but, like, I like Gen V. Not as good as The Boys. Boys is so epic. But I enjoyed it. What I wanted to say was, like, I don't know, man. Do you think that if Superman was real, he'd be Homelander? Do you think that's like a realistic take on Superman?
It kind of depends, really. I mean, it depends.
I don't think it would be. Because this question was asked, and at the end of the day, Superman was still raised to be a human, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because he was raised by good people. That's why I mean, it depends. It depends where he crashed, man. If he, there's tons of stories where Superman doesn't crash in Kansas and raised by Ma and Pa Kent, and he turns out differently because he's raised by different people. If it's OG Superman, he crashes in, Heartland America. He's raised by good old Ma and Pa, and he comes up to be a good old boy. That's great. But in other stories, he's crashed in South America. You know, he crashed right by the US border and he was found by immigrants. In another story, he crashes in Russia. In another story, he crashes right in the middle of downtown and the government scoops him up. And each different time, there's a different Superman. So whether or not Superman would
Yeah,
be a
well,
good guy would depend how his story begins.
yeah, that's true. But like, I suppose this is like, if Superman was like not raised by anyone at all, like, I wouldn't even call that scientist dude, I forget his name, like a parent or like some type of god, because he wasn't, you know? He was just there
It's basically
to
what if
run some
Superman
tests.
was built in a lab, essentially. You know, what if he was built in a lab? Yeah.
Shame. But I don't know, I feel sorry for Homelander. He's a very undeveloped human being. Especially with, like, you can see it with his interactions in Stowell. Like, you know, she was kind of like a mother to him. Like,
He got an Oedipus
literally.
complex.
That whole, like, dynamic between them was kind of icky, to be honest.
You do know what that is, right? What I just said, an Oedipus complex, right?
Yeah, it's, who invented it?
Well,
We did it in psychology.
yeah, it's when dudes have an attraction for their mother. It's
You know,
based.
that also goes vice versa. Like, girls have an attraction to their fathers.
Yeah, but
It's a very...
yeah, daddy's little girl and all that shit. Yeah, I'm aware of that.
But I don't know. Those kinds of relationships are also, like, reinforced by society's, like, gender roles and dynamics between the two genders. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, you can it is kind of seen in the world we live in, because there's that stigma that, you know, boys grow up to marry a woman who's just like their mother, and girls will eventually grow up to be with a guy who's just like their dad.
Like, when you look at something as simple as, like, slogans and stuff on, like, baby shirts. Like, I once saw this boy shirt, like, for a newborn saying ladies man on it.
Really?
And I'm not, okay, like, obviously it's a child, it's not going to understand these things. Those kinds of things are more for, like, the parents, I suppose, and their little inside jokes and whatnot. But, like, you know, I feel like those kinds of things, like, reinforce, like, those kinds of gender dynamics, which kind of, I don't know, like, I feel like boys are, like, stripped of their innocence a bit more, like, at a younger age, and, like, girls are, like, forced to, like, keep their innocence, because then they're seen as worthless, you know what I mean? Like, it's a natural thing for boys to, like, grow up knowing about sex and those kinds of things, or to have an early sexual awakening. But as, like, a woman doing it, as, you know, as a child or a girl, it's seen as something, ooh, nasty. I don't know. I feel like if you're in a different world, maybe complexes like that wouldn't exist.
I wouldn't go on that, but yeah, there is something to be said about girls being shielded more from otherwise harmful experiences, more so than boys. Because if you look at the men in the Seven, they're drastically different to someone like Queen Maeve or a Starlight. Because it's the first wave of soups in the world, in the, you know, in Gen V, not in Gen V, in the boys, like your Homelander and them, they were, you know, made in a lab from scratch. But like Homelander is vastly different to Queen Maeve. Like, yeah, they're all assholes, but like she's nowhere near the level of asshole that he or the Deep or anybody. Queen Maeve
Yeah,
never
but
had.
also she's like a normal person.
Yeah, but
Like, she had a family.
that was fake.
Okay, true. But, like, okay,
They're
let's
all
not
fake.
even
I
do that.
mean,
Let's take...
even Homelander's whole backstory is bullshit. There was that one episode where there was a documentary about him, and he was in his so-called childhood home. That house was staged. That was a set. They were filming on a set. That was no childhood home. he freaked out when he saw like his baby blanket because it was the baby blanket that he had when he was in the lab, and that exposed that, oh, this is all bullshit. Like, none of this is real. This is just fluff for the documentary. So if his life is fake, then probably everybody's life is fake who was a first gen, member of the Seven. They were grown in a freaking lab.
Well, now that it's not being made. But but even Starlight, when you think about it, because their parents willingly signed them up for this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like their lives were simulated. Like everything was planned from the beginning. You know what I mean?
Not everything, but most of the stuff. Most of
like
yeah.
Starlight, for example. Like her mother tried to make it look like organic, like she had this child that miraculously had these powers, that she tried to, do the best for her and see this as some kind of gift from God. Let's make the best out of the situation.
That was the story that they were spinning. That was the idea that they were shelving out to the general public. Like, superheroes became soups because they were chosen by God. They were the chosen from people. That was the story that they were spinning. So when someone's child was revealed to be a superhero, it's like elevates that person to a different level of standing in society.
Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Not like start like what it was like she was also a victim of that lie. Most superheroes for that.
Not
so
entirely.
I don't know, man. It's
not entirely, because at the end of the day, her mother is still her mother. She still the home she lived in is her home. The childhood she had wasn't fake. True. It was an actual childhood that she grew up in. So
I still feel simulated for some reason, like it's real. But shame. I feel sorry for Starlight. I like her though. She's cool.
It's almost, there's little difference between, in my eyes, what happened with Starlight and like what happens with like the stereotypical Asian kid where from birth your parents have your whole life planned out for you. Like, you're gonna go to this school and this school, you're gonna study these things, and by this age you will have done X amount of things. Like, that's, sure, your whole life is planned out, but that doesn't make it fake. You can still say like, yeah, I lived a life. I did have parents. Though I was a planned baby with everything already written out for me, it's still life. It's not phony. It's not a fake memory that was planted in your head or a phony backstory.
Homelander.
Yeah.
He is the villain, like an attempt to lash out to him. He got like the bad end of the deal in terms of this whole superhero thing. Shame. I don't know. The Boys is a good show. I recommend it to everybody. If they ask me, do you have any recommendations on board? I always recommend The Boys. It's a good watch, and it's not so long. You know what I mean? It's 8 episodes per season. It's it's an okay watch. It's not lengthy or it's hard to get into, or they have to watch all of this to form opinions about the show. So, it's a pretty good watch.
Yeah, I agree. If they can get past the gore and the otherwise icky nature of some of things, and it's definitely something you can get into.
Me, I think you and I have watched crazy things, but I felt the first season, because in the first episode, literally Huey's girlfriend, what's her name? I forget her name.
Robin.
But she was Robin. She was blown to pieces by A-Train. That was gory AF. It wasn't that gory compared to some of the things in the show.
Because there was nothing left. It was just a big stain. So.
Yeah, it was just so random and shocking and horrible. But it just kind of freaked me out, and I was like, okay, I get it. This series is not gonna hold back with the gore. They're gonna be You know those warnings before every episode? Yeah, they're there for a reason. But yeah, some people might find it a bit gory and horrible, but it's cool.
Even aside from the
I don't know,
gore,
like
there's some pretty nasty things. I think season 2 is where they find the facility where they keep all the like the superheroes who like uncontrollable, and that's when we get our first glimpse of that guy who can stretch any part of his body, but more often than not just stretches his dick.
Ezekiel.
Ugh.
Yeah, Ezekiel, the Christian guy.
That is fucked up. Are you fucking joking, man? Like that. When I saw that the first time, I had no idea what I was looking at. Like, I just saw this thing like stretching its way through the window, coming down, and then wrapping around Mother's Milk, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? That's not a hand. That's not
A finger. What the fuck is that? And then then I like rewind it back, and I'm like, oh no, man, what the fuck?
Oh man. But Mother's Milk is such a cool character now that I think about it. Like, I like him. He's cool.
He does
He's
have
a
to put up
family
with a
dude,
lot
but
of shit, though.
I mean, true, but like, he's a family dude, but he's not afraid to get his hands dirty, you know what I mean?
Considering the fact he's the
And
one
like,
who has all the weirdest stuff dumped on him, like, yeah, that's not
he's always the
surprising.
one.
It's always him, because,
Shame.
like...
But like, with a
yeah.
name like Mother's Milk,
I don't... Hey, leave
you
the
know,
man be, you know, like, there was, oh! The one that got me the most, the weirdest thing that happened to Mother's Milk, I'd say, was Herogasm. Because, yeah, he was there. He was at, like, the Herogasm party with all the soups and everything, freaking out in their little orgy. You know, the one guy, like, shoulder bumped him, and he smeared something on his jacket. While he was wiping that off, this door opens up. You know, he's trying to find a bathroom so he can wipe this off. He opens this door, and then sploosh! I'm guessing someone climaxed. And didn't just climax in normal capacity, but this wave of, like, jizz just got sprayed all over him. And he just turns ever so, like, you know, like, when a character is so mad that they turn around all menacingly, like a robot or something. He was like that, but he was just covered in jizz. And he was, you could tell, like, he needed a bathroom then and now, man. Like,
I felt bad for him. But like, as I said, with a name like that, like, I don't know, like when I first heard his name, my first thought was about Madman. Like, they have Mother's Milk there as well, but like, that's actual milk, you know?
oh, not, yeah, milk, but not the dairy kind, anyway.
Well, technically it is.
But yeah, moving on. But damn, no, it's definitely been toned down compared to like what goes on in the comics. Cause yeah, in the TV show, his daughter is like a sweet little girl that he wants to protect. But in the comics, she's like a teenager. She like when she addresses her dad, she's like, "Man, fuck you! Like who you think you are? You can't tell me what to do." And she literally goes out and she's like hanging out with these sketchy dudes who like try to rape her or some shit. And then Butcher shows up and he beats them up. But before he takes her back, he's like, "Hey, like." Even though he saves her, she still talks shit to him. He's like, listen, he even talks to her like, listen here, you little fucking brat. Like, your dad is like one of the goodest people on the planet. Like, he'd move heaven and earth to save you. Like, what the hell you think he would think if he saw you hanging out with guys like this? And you this is how you repay him? Like, he basically tells this girl to go fuck herself, man. Like, you straighten out or else. And she does. But yeah.
What's your Butcher?
What?
What's your take on Butcher?
He was a good dude at one point, and then like he's what I would imagine a satire of the Punisher would be. You know, like a good guy who lost everything and now lives solely for revenge, but he can't get it. Like over and over, he comes close, but he just can't quite get it. And it's slowly driving him insane.
Yeah, I mean that's a good like take on his character, to be honest. But like I don't know, but like not that he doesn't have an opportunity to start over. Okay, I get, like, obviously he went through, like, one of the worst betrayals, like, he thought his wife was, like, dead. Like, she just went missing, and he thought, like, she's dead, and then this dude who's responsible for her death, well, he thinks he's responsible for his death, is just, the glory of mankind. He's literally the biggest celebrity in America, and he's so untouchable. It's I can see, why he's so angry. But, like, I mean, there's so many other opportunities for happiness around him. Like, his friends, like, I get that they're business partners and all, but there is, like, you can see a strong relationship between them. They have an understanding with each other. They also, like, care about each other. But, like, like, when, they were busted at that motel, and the top dudes, or, I don't know, the CIA or whatever, took Frenchie and Mother's Milk in, as well as Kimiko, and he was just like, those guys would want us to, like, go after Homelander. Yeah, it kind of sucked, man. Like, I liked his character until that point. Like, he didn't have his priorities straight. And I get his priority was Becca, even though she betrayed him, low-key.
It's a terrible thing to do to somebody because, all this time they thought this person they loved more than anything was dead. And there was the possibility, that hope that they could get back the life they once had just to see it snuffed out again. It's like, now he has to re-experience and re-grieve that death all over again. So it kind of somewhat explains his self-destructive behavior in season 3, because, he's, for the most part of it, he's grieving. Having to re-experience the loss of the person you hold dear, it's terrible thing to put through someone. It's horrible to put someone through that once, but to now go through it twice, it's like, it's gonna mess with you. It's gonna change you in more ways than you would imagine.
That, but I feel like, his character was just messed up, man. And I get that that's why his character is so good, because it's so messed up. But still, it feels like a good opportunity wasted.
You may see his character as messed up in The Boys, but trust me on this, he's way more so in, like, them comics, because, like, let me just lay it out for you. If you think something is messed up on the TV show, just accept the idea it's way worse in the comics. Like, if you look at something on TV and show and think, wow, this is nasty, this is perverted, comics got it way worse. Regardless, whatever it is, they got it way worse. Because even Butcher, because there was a moment where, like, Butcher, like, after Huey gets brought into The Boys, like, him and Butcher go to take down this guy, this former member of, like, I think it was Team Payback or the Seven. Yeah, it was Team Payback, because so they go to take this guy down, and at this time, like, Butcher is starting to get suspicious of Huey because somehow the Soups seem to be one step ahead of them, and he thinks, like, Huey might be a mole. So, like, they chase this dude up to the rooftop. See, these two humans are chasing up this superpowered being, and now he's trapped on this rooftop, but, like, Huey manages to get up there first, and, like, Butcher is just, like, sitting by the fire escape, like, listening to everything go down. Like, he could totally, like, and he tells Huey, like, hey, I can't get up there, the fire escape is destroyed, you're gonna have to take him out on your own. And he he's just kicking back and, like, waiting to see what happens, because if Huey actually is an agent of Vought, nothing bad will happen. But if he's not, then, something, certainly, he's gonna get messed up by this dude, and he's willing to, like, risk dude's life to basically find out, is he a spy? Isn't he a spy? So it's like, it's pretty... he almost gets killed. He almost gets him killed just to find out, like, can I actually trust this dude? Yeah, it's a pretty scummy thing to do in a way, so yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of a scummy character, actually.
But that whole story, though, just that...
I ask you,
oh, yeah, you're
is
saying.
Butcher, like, British in the comic? Is he referenced as being British?
Well, I don't know, like, dialogue that I've seen, because there's a lot of things that are different, because he doesn't look like, we'll call urban. He doesn't have a big old beard or anything. He's like taller and got a bigger chin. But in the comics, I don't really know that he's British. His dialogue doesn't hint at that. But Huey is Scottish in the comics. Like he says things like laddie and like oh wee lad and shit like that. Like I don't know, he's something straight out of, he talks like he's straight out of Braveheart, man.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah, like yeah, he's like bald with a goatee. I mean, he looks like his dad. Basically, you know the guy who plays Huey's dad? He looks like that guy.
I should actually get into the boys comic. I've seen panels from it, but like I've never got into it. Not like Batman. Like I don't know. Like
It's a lot to get into. Like you don't have to. Okay, there's this YouTube channel called Comics Explained. Like he's all over that kind of stuff, man. Like you could definitely, like you could just look up on YouTube The Boys Comics Explained. You know, he'll like the guy named Rob. He's all on this kind of stuff. That's how I got filled in on some of these stories. Like that's how you find out about guys like The Legend. There's this dude. He's basically a satire of like, you know how The Boys are a satire of superheroes in the real world. Well, this guy is a satire of basically Stan Lee. This guy, it's his job because he runs his comic book company, and his job is basically PR for, you know, the Seven. Basically comes up with good PR for the superheroes in general. And to spin any kind of negative situation they find themselves in into a positive to tell to the wider audiences. Because, so, there was this one episode where Homelander and Maeve try to save a plane, and they screw up and get everyone killed. That happens in the comics too.
yeah,
Yeah, that happens in the comics too. Only it's like the Seven's very first mission. Like they've been tasked with saving this plane that's being, you know, held captive by terror. Basically, in the comics, the Seven are responsible for 9/11. When you think about it, because the plane in the world of the boys from 9/11 was, you know, yeah, it was going down, and there were terrorists on board. But, like, their plan was, yeah, we're gonna hijack this plane, and we're gonna, like, fly it back to where we came from, and, you know, hold these motherfuckers hostage in exchange for what the hell ever. That was the terrorist plan. And then Homelander and the rest of the Seven showed up, and Homelander basically, you know, he fried the terrorist, like, fried the plane controls. Like, right out of the gate, they screw up. There wasn't even a moment like, hey, it seems like everything's gonna be okay. No, right out of the gate, they screw up because Homelander rips the door right off the thing, and like all the air decompresses, and a kid gets sucked out into the freaking plane engine almost immediately, and it's a total disaster. And while they're on the plane, after he destroyed the controls, it's like, oh damn, like they're freaking out. They don't know what to do. They're, like, Maeve is looking at him like, what do we do? The other members of the Seven are like, what do we do? What's going on? Like, we didn't have a plan. They're totally unprepared because it's their first mission. And Homelander's like, well, fuck it. Let's just bail. And they get out, basically. They all just get out, but not without casualties, because this was a terrible... To show just how much this was a terrible idea, only 2 people on this mission can fly. The other members of the Seven are being carried up to this place. And that one guy who's being carried, he ends up, like, slipping, and he ends up smearing on the plane, and he dies. So it's like, oh, damn, this was a total shit show. But the Legend managed to spin the story into, oh, yeah, you know, the Seven arrived on the scene, and they tried to negotiate, but the terrorists, they were committed to their suicide, and they decided to dive bomb the plane into the city, as opposed to flying off with the rest of the hostages or surrendering. As opposed to, oh yeah, Homelander fucked up, the plane lost control, and it crashed into a building. So, yeah, that's his job. His job is to spin whatever disaster that happens into, oh, here's what really happened. This random explosion in the center of town that was caused by a superhero losing control was really a superhero heroically taking on an arch nemesis of theirs, who then detonated some huge device or some shit. You know, like, and it's kind of yeah, it's really cool to see how like comic books and media and stuff is used to promote and give this image of the boys as these altruistic heroes. Much like on the TV show, all the heroes have their own movies and the TV shows and stuff, and you see Homelander going to all the premieres and everything. It's, you know, it's played out there in similar fashion. Because imagine if realistically, if we had like Iron Man or Captain America, those characters would have their own movies. They would have like comic books and stuff like that. It's how you have in the movie Logan, like you see like Logan flipping through an Xmen comic, and even he's like, yeah, this stuff happened, but it didn't happen like this. So in that world, the X-Men are real, but they're nothing like the X-Men in the comics. The X-Men in the comics exist as a spin on what the X-Men actually look like, you know?
Yeah. But like it's interesting. But like I can tell you one thing, like the boys must have been so expensive, to be honest, to make. Because like when you watch it and you see all of these like celebrities like Seth Rogen and even Chris Hansen, like they had to pay a lot of people.
Yeah. But some of these are
Even
just cameos, so it can't be that much.
what's that? It's Saturday Night or the Tonight Show? What's his name?
What, Jimmy Fallon?
Yeah, Jimmy Fallon's even in the boys. Like it's crazy. Like they paid a lot of people.
I mean, you can't really. Yeah, okay. Looking at it, I'll just look it up now. It turns out each episode for like season 1 was $11 million. So, I mean, you do the math on that. The number of episodes, $11 million. It adds up. But then again, the show's made by Amazon, so they don't need to worry about money.
Yeah, true, but still, like that's crazy. $88 million for one season. And like it just probably got more and more expensive as like the popularity of the show, you know, increased as people started watching. But I suppose they brought more revenue in then. But like they had a lot of like guest you know, celebrities and actors and stuff, as well as just like paying royalties. Like they mentioned TMZ and stuff in the show. So obviously they had to pay royalties to all those companies they mentioned, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and every now and then they would have their own company, like VNN instead of CNN, like Vought News. They would do that as a way of having, you know, a news source. Because to have actual CNN in a movie would, you know, probably cost a ton of money, and, you know, because of trademarking or whatever. Or real Fox News, you would need kind of, you know, a certain level of money and leeway to it. Because, yeah, those are pretty recognizable brands. And when you see it does, but it would add to the realism of the world. Because when you see, like, what that guy, Anderson Cooper from CNN, appearing in Batman v Superman, covering the, you know, the arrival of that thing, you know, that Lex Luthor made on the ship, it does add to this feeling of like, oh, this is like the real world we live in, because there's CNN, and, you know, you see people like Neil deGrasse Tyson pop up in Batman v Superman discussing whether or not we even need a Superman. It's, you know, it does, I don't know, add to the show.
They made it realistic.
Yeah.
Like what they did, like fits into modern day America, like right now, like with, you know, the political strife that's happening.
Yeah.
You know, left and right always fighting and arguing, and they have their news representatives, Fox News and CNN, and you know, it's pretty like realistic. It's a realistic take on like what having superheroes in America would be like today. And I think it's a pretty scary reality, to be honest, when you think about it. It's lucky superheroes don't exist, eh?
Yeah, because not everybody getting superpowers would have the, you know, great power, great responsibility ideal. Some of the people would just use their powers to better themselves more than anything.
nobody in the Seven except for Starlight. Like maybe they did at one point, like have that. I want to do good in the world. I was given these powers. For a reason, for a purpose, and that's to be responsible and protect these people. She was like that, and I'm sure like Queen Maeve and stuff were like that at one point. But like the Seven is kind of like yes, they got these awesome powers and they're capable of great things, but personality wise, like just look at the Deep, for example. First episode, he's already sexually harassing Starlight. Like that, like, was crazy. And I mean, Homelander's like, you can't even compare Homelander because he's like a breed of his own. Like the rest of them are, but like they're okay. But like, I like the Deep for some reason. I don't know why. I just fuck with it, man. Even though he is low key.
I feel, I feel sorry for out of everybody in this mess. If anybody to feel sorry for, I felt sorry for Black Noir. Because he was just a guy.
Me too. He's such a vibe.
He's just a guy, man. I felt sorry for Black Noir. Like he wasn't an asshole. He wasn't out there murdering people. Wasn't sexually harassing nobody. He was just a guy dealt a raw deal.
Yeah. I like Noir. He had a cool character. I remember in the first season, obviously we didn't see him a lot. Like, in general, in the show, we don't see him a lot. But, like, he's just such a cool dude. You just see, like, him in the background of scenes. And, like, I remember that one time where he was, like, he sat next to the dude playing the piano and he was just staring at him, like, trying to signal him with his vibes, like, let me play it my turn, So he's, like, just a cool dude that likes to blend in with the environment. He's not like one for being a celebrity, even though he is. He's not like the Deep. Like the Deep feeds on being this super famous superhero that everybody loves.
He kind of did want to in the beginning, because that season 3 there was that flashback episode where he was with Team Payback and what's his name? That guy, he's played by Jensen Ackles. Soldier Boy, yeah. He was on Soldier Boy's team.
Yeah.
And, Black Noir was talking to Stan back in the day. You're talking to him about how, like, hey, I would like to, like, be a superhero, but without the mask. Because he would, like, yeah, everybody knows and loves Black Noir, but, like, nobody knows who's under the mask. And he would talk about, like, how, he mentioned, like, how when he would go back home, and it would just be him going about his everyday life. Like, people just treated him like he was just another black guy. Because, keep in mind, it was the 60s. It wasn't exactly the best time to be a black guy in America. So it's like, for him to be like, man, I'm treated like I'm just another black guy. No one knows that I'm really Black Noir. Can I take the mask off and, like, be seen? And Stan and Vought in general were like, nah, you don't really want to do that. Like, we kind of like you as you are, like, keeping you under the mask, it plays. So, plus, you'd have to imagine at the time, people wouldn't have taken kindly to the idea of a black superhero in the Seven, given everything that was going on in the 60s. Like, the Vietnam War was still going on. The Civil Rights Movement was, like, kicking off. So the idea of a black guy in the Seven, which was, not the Seven, but on Team Payback, which at that point was an otherwise all-black group, it wouldn't have played well. People wouldn't have taken kindly to it, and Vought was all about their perception and how things looked. So how would it look to have a black guy on an otherwise all-white team? There would be a negative view. What's tragic about this is, in his attempts to do the right thing and take down Soldier Boy, his face got so messed up that he had to wear a mask. There was no way he was ever taking this off now. So it's like, now he's stuck with it.
But like, I don't know. Like it takes a while to get like connected to his character. As you said, only in season 3 we learned all of these things about him. So like most of the time he's just was this background character, but I like him. Like he's a cool dude.
Well, that's not true. We didn't know nothing. Like we knew he was allergic to peanuts.
True.
Yeah, I think
Very
was it
valuable
Starlight? I remember
information.
somebody like he snuck up on somebody and like they beat him by like shoving what is it, a lunch bar in his face or something. He was like on the ground all spazzing out and shit. Like, hey, it's not funny. People die like that. I know it's not funny because people get so allergic to peanuts that they die if they have some, you know, because your throat closes up and shit. But it was like, really? This badass dude is taken down by a candy bar? Really? Oh, yeah.
How about Shane? I like him. He's a cool dude.
Good old Black Noir. I mean, it's what'd you think of Kimiko?
I don't know. She was like such a wild card in the show, especially in season 1. I like her and Frenchie's dynamic because like I feel like at the beginning we saw Frenchie as, you know, this guy that's up to no good. Like clearly, you know, he has access to some pretty dangerous things and people. So he's, you know,
I mean, he's the
he's
bomb
not a
guy.
guy.
Of course, he's up to something. I mean, he's
Yeah, you know. But like I feel like she brought like a human perspective to him, like, you know, especially like, you know, with how he was like wanting to handle her, like when they first encountered her in that underground basement scenario. Yeah, so I like Kimiko. She's cool. And I think it's
certainly
like
better.
the story is sad.
Yeah, and you find out like her backstory of like how, you know, how she came over
Yeah.
here, how she's separated from like her and her brother, and all this other stuff. It's
I think it's like a relatable thing because like most of the world is made up of people of color who have gone through scenarios like that where they have to flee their country or they, you know, they unfortunately are under some sort of militia rule where they're afraid for their lives and etc. etc. So I feel like it's a relatable story, and she's a cool person. Like she was kind of like rough at the beginning, but yeah, I like her, and I like that like, you know, she had to like grow throughout the show because like she came to this new country not understanding the language. And anything really, because, you know, she was like a different person from like what she used to be. She was like this, you know, this reliable gal in the military trying to protect her brother and hopefully find a way out for them for a better life. And then she was one of the test subjects for Compound B, and then she was brought over and her whole life was ruined. And then she had to, you know, grow. Lucky she found Frenchie and the gang and stuff. But like, you know, it's nice. Like I remember like they were trying to teach her how to like write in English, and they got one of those kindergarten books, and they were making her write B's and A's. That was kind of cute. I like Kimiko.
yeah, it's definitely a well written story, and the romance between them is well done. You know, it's a natural progression from these total strangers and grows into these two people who care about each other to risk their lives for one another. It's definitely, you know, one of the more well written aspects of the show.
I was born to be a fighter, had these dreams and desires. I would be something better, energy, got a fire in my soul to keep burning, a pain that keep hurting, a curse is emerging, feel the thirst, keep on working, I won't stop, I won't quit, to the top of this shit, I get lost in the work, sweat dripping, not a bitch, I get mad, I get pissed, I get after this shit, hit the gas, feel the grip, adrenaline, never miss, I'm not patient, but I've learned to embrace it, cause I've been working, I've been waiting, never complacent, cause I'm so close I can taste it, want it away from everything I've been chasing. I'm honest and I promise that I got this. I'm launching, all I've wanted has been exhausting. I'll teach you how to harness, control the conscious. You got this, yeah you got this, you gotta want it. Life ain't fair, are you gonna win or will you play scared? I will not stop, I am prepared to get to the top, yeah you must be rare. Got 'em like hey, 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 I will not stop, I am prepared to get to the top, yeah, you must be rare. You got one shot, life ain't fair. Are you gonna win or is the place scared? I will not stop, I am prepared to get to the top, yeah, you must be rare. Got 'em like, hey, I will not stop, I am prepared to get to the top, yeah, you must be rare.